Cool. So today's discussion is especially important for pretty much all Amazon sellers to hear from another Amazon seller about becoming a seven-figure seller. So it doesn't happen by accident, doesn't fall on your head. It's something that you need to follow a methodology for. So that's what we're gonna talk about today. So when you listen to the full episode, you'll be able to take away stuff from what Michael will share and apply directly to your business. So, Mike, so tell us, what is your approach to growing your account and reaching those seven figures?
So I think essentially the strategy that we've used in our approach really is very much focused on the customer engagement side of things and all of the benefits that transpire as a result of that. And of course, when you're selling on Amazon, customer engagement is a difficult thing because obviously Amazon wants to be in between you and your customer at all times. As far as they're concerned, those customers are their customers. So you have to find a way to make those customers yours. And there really isn't any other truly effective way to do that beyond a post-purchase process of some sort. And everybody's post-purchase process may look a little bit different, but ultimately you need to get them on an email list. It doesn't mean you might not want them also as followers on social or things like that, but those are all still platforms that ultimately are controlled by somebody else. An email list and maybe an SMS list is about the only type of list these days that technically is under your control. You can export the list, you can take it to a new provider, you can use it for just about whatever you want as long as you're not spamming people. And so, an email and or SMS list is probably your best approach in terms of that, customer engagement. And the nice thing about that is that, from the point of your listing on Amazon and the things that you say in that listing, which may predispose an individual to actually pay attention to your packaging or whatever inserts might be in there because of something they're expecting with the product, right? That they can't get any other way. So they're looking for it, right? That's one way to increase your engagement rate with whatever you put in there. And then your inserts, whether it be an insert or a hang tag or whatever it is that you're putting in there, something they have to interact with. And then a good offer, a good offer for that moment and for that customer. You really have to think through who is your ideal customer, especially who is the ideal customer that you want on your list, right? Because again, the idea is that engagement. The idea is creating that relationship with them so that not only can you still sell to them other items, hopefully you've got multiple items in your product line that you could sell on the back end, but also getting the reviews both on Amazon and off of Amazon, allowing them to help you in the, product research and development phase and the launch of products. You'd be amazed at how much assistance you can get from a list, in terms of your product development and your product launch strategy. It makes it much easier. But again, that comes back to who is the target customer that you could go after that would be most interested in your product at the highest price you could potentially sell it at, and would engage with you in a positive way to accomplish all of those other things, the reviews and, post-purchase, orders and back-end stuff and all of that. Who's that customer? Once you know who that is, then the question is, what is that customer thinking at the moment that they open your box, your package? Because it's in that moment that you have a very short, limited amount of time to engage them, to get them on your list. You have to get them to do something to get on your list. So what is the thing that you could do for them in that moment that they would be most interested in, most likely to respond to, and gets them on your list, and then everything, transpires from there.
So, okay, so the answer to the question, who is your ideal customer who is going to pay you the highest amount of price that you can charge? There are multiple answers to that question, right?
Yep.
So you are talking about then putting something in the package that will appeal to them.
Right.
And then you want that offer to be the offer that they are interested in. So again, since there are multiple types of ideal customers, it may not fit. So how do you go about making it as generic as possible while also making it as personal as possible. So
Right, right.
what is the answer?
Yeah, I mean, it is a little bit difficult, especially if you're brand new, right? Like, I mean, if you're starting a brand from scratch, right? That can be a tough space to be in because it is difficult, you know, to some degree to figure out who that ideal customer is. But I would say we're gaining tools to make that a better, to be able to be more objective at that on the front end, you know, with AI analysis of, you know, the reviews of other products in your category, you know, analyzing what other brands are doing with their listings in terms of how they're presenting the information, what types of actual features and benefits they're actually highlighting and not, you know, especially those that are selling in the top ranks of whatever category you're trying to enter, because to some degree, you probably are going to want to emulate what they're doing. You're just going to want to do it better. You know, and you especially want to focus on those products that are selling at the top of category and are selling at least a somewhat premium price point, you know, in that category. You don't want to focus on the products that are selling at the lowest possible price you could sell at, because that's not where you want to be. Eventually that's a losing battle. You might win, you know, in the beginning, but you're never going to win over the long term that way. So the question is, what are the sellers doing who are selling top of category at least the most premium price that exists right now in the category? What could you do better than they're doing so that you could sell it potentially an even higher price point than they are and still be top of category? And then what customer wants that the most? You know, those things that they're doing, if you were to do that better, who's the customer that would want that most? What does it matter? You know, are you saving them time? Are you saving them money in the long run? Are you, you know, what is it that those features or those benefits that you're offering them, what does it do for them? And who cares about those things the most, right? You can use over time, you know, brand analytics is very helpful. You know, there's information in there, demographic information that is useful, which of course you don't have on the front end, but not long after you start selling, you start to pull in some of that data and you can kind of look at who's buying the product and what, you know, what are the demographics there. So you can pay attention to that. I would say that over time, it's going to be that engagement with the customer that ultimately then defines who they are, right? Like as you talk to them, you're going to see what messages they respond best to, what language do they respond best to, what phrasings, what jokes do you tell that they respond to, you know, like all of that stuff helps you to get to know your customer better. But again, you don't know all that stuff until you get this process in place. So what I would say is do the best that you can, you know, with upfront analysis of the product vertical that you're in, the other brands that are selling at that premium price point. Try to figure out who you think they're selling to. Look at their social media. Like if there's other premium brands in your category, look at their social media profile. What are they posting? You know, you can tell a lot about who they're trying to advertise to if they actually know, right? Some of them don't, but most of them who are sitting top of category probably know who they're selling to. So what are they saying in their social media? That'll tell you who they're selling to, and maybe it's the same customer you want to sell to. Maybe you want to niche it down even a little bit more. Like, okay, they're selling to this group, right? That could be effective. But if I shrink it just a little bit more, I could be even more dialed in on my message and maybe sell it even a higher price point because I'm solving it's interesting. Alex Hormozi said something not too long ago that came up on my feed that I really liked. And he was talking about that idea of niching down and how the further you niche, the higher the price point oftentimes you can sell at, because the problem that you're solving becomes so much more critical to that specific person, right? And as long as you know what the problem is that you're solving, and you can really delineate what that solution looks like for them and how much money it's going to save them or how much time it's going to save them, the more you niche down, the more you really can delve into that. And you might take a product that, you know, you could sell for $100 to one customer and literally sell it for $1,000 to that customer who's niched down enough. And in fact, I just talked to somebody the other day. They were talking about a lady who sells clothes hangers. She sells at a price point that is literally 10 times what anybody else in her category sells at. Now, she sells to a very specific customer. But think about that. If you could sell it 10, and that's not 10 times like the lowest priced option. That's 10 times the second highest priced option she's selling at, right? And so how much more money could you make? You know,